This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
This is the Nonie Darwish moment, brought to you by the Glazov Gang. After the Orlando Islamic terrorist attack, we can't allow ourselves to be paralyzed with internal divisions in America. I lived under the values of jihad for 30 years, listening to songs glorifying shahada and jihad. It's a shame for any American to make excuses or doubt the motivation of the terrorists who pledged jihad to the Islamic State. The reason radical Islam uses terror is because they are themselves terrorized. They are terrorized by free will, by freedom in the West, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of conscience, of a Western culture that allows forgiveness, allows second chances, and confession of sin. Islam is petrified of a God who loves us all unconditionally. The God of the Bible that has no enemies to die for. A God who calls us his children. And a God who came down to save us from our sins. A God who loves the sinner, but not the sin. Radical Islam is terrified of a culture that respects the sanctity of life. A culture that is based on truth. Of a God who calls us his children, not his slaves. A God who tells us to be transformed and born again, instead of a God who commands conformity and submission. It's petrifying for Islamism to see a culture that teaches self-control instead of controlling others. Of a God who came to set us free and not to enslave us. Islam is terrorized of our constitution. It's envious of our success and our civilization and our basic respect to the dignity and life of humanity. It's envious of a government that serves the people instead of being served by the people. It's envious of our laws and our order, in our trust in one another, in our values, our Bible, and our flag. If moderate Muslims really are serious about destroying ISIS, why aren't they doing that? They claim that ISIS is only maybe 1% of Islam. But if that is true, why aren't the moderate Muslim armies, who are averaging 400,000 active duty military in every Arab country, 400,000 at least in Egypt is 500,000 active duty military. Why aren't they destroying ISIS, which is about 50,000 jihadis in Syria? I'm talking now about some of the excerpts I have in my new book, my upcoming book in January, Wholly Different, Islamic Values versus Biblical Values. I want the moderate Muslims to be honest with us, to tell us why they are not destroying ISIS. And we also have to ask the same questions and face the truth of why they are not destroying ISIS. 1.5 billion Muslims are not destroying 50,000 in Syria? This question must be answered. And these are the two major reasons why I believe that moderate Muslim armies will not fight ISIS. Number one, any Muslim leader who will go to war against ISIS will be considered an apostate under Islamic law, and that will subject him to assassination. Number two, if moderate Muslim armies attack ISIS, there is no question that half of these armies will probably defect with ISIS. And that's when Islam will be exposed as a religion that is not as moderate as we think. And that's why moderate Muslim countries don't want to go to war against ISIS. And these are our options now. What are our options? Our options is to keep pretending that we need the support of moderate Muslim countries who won't go to war against ISIS. That's one choice. Another choice is for the West to go to war and destroy ISIS for moderate Muslim countries. Again, we keep saving them from their own religious fanatics. A third choice is, since Islam declared itself in a state of war against us, then we must stop Muslim immigration from Islamic countries. This would be the natural response in the eyes of Muslims to tell them we mean business. When the West absorbs all the refugees it can from Muslim countries and it's vacating Syria and Iraq from moderates, who's gonna fight ISIS? We are actually doing ISIS a favor when we absorb all the moderate Muslims, and let's presume they are really all moderate Muslims. But even if we fed them and bring them in, who's going to fight ISIS? We are actually, by absorbing all the refugees, we are in fact empowering ISIS. We're vacating the land for them to control. And that is the dirty little secret that nobody wants to talk about. And that is the only way moderate Muslims can prove to us, if they are really serious, is for them to go and actually destroy ISIS. But they are not. And they are depriving us from the proof that they are serious, that they are moderate. If they are truly moderate, and if they really regard radical Islam and terrorists as something un-Islamic, like they say it is, then can you imagine if moderate Muslims actually destroy ISIS? That would be the day to celebrate Islam as a religion of peace, truly a religion of peace. But that is not what they're doing. Moderate Muslims, in fact, seem to want to impress us always by just the opposite, by defending ISIS, making excuses for ISIS, that Islam is good and normal, rather than actually pressuring radical Islam to actually end radical Islam on their part. That's their job. That's not our job in the West. So instead, radical Islam seems to be getting stronger, and moderate Islam seems to be getting weaker. It is hard to see America under such terror and fear on a daily basis. And our leaders, Obama, is acting like a defense attorney for Islam. Thank you very much. And I'm pleased to be invited to this show by Jamie Glazov. Please support Jamie Glazov by going to his website, jamieglazov.com. Thank you.